All right, construction champions, it's your host, Ron Nussbaum, and we're here for another amazing episode of Construction Champions Podcast, where we're burning down the house and we're rebuilding on what it looks like to have that construction business that changes the industry forever. I'm here with an amazing guest. Manny, I am super excited to have you here today.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks so much, man. Really excited about being on your show.
Manny is a legend in the construction business and the construction podcast business. If you don't know, he is the host of Construction Life, year after year, the #1 construction podcast. And as you can see, he's on a job site. He's just like one of us. He's out there doing it. He's out there crushing it every day. Manny, what are you most excited about right now in your career?
Right now, possibilities. We know that there's been a lot of talk about recession and questionable what's going on, the future, all kinds of things like that. But I mean, if history's taught us anything, that's where the opportunities lie. That's where you got to stop looking at negatives and start looking at possibilities and just figure out, sure, you can enter a job site one way or you can enter a job site another way, and you can just have a different mindset. So it's just look at what's good, see what's bad, but definitely pay attention to what's good, and then understand what you can do with that, and just figure out. That's like, go back to your roots, go back to when we were beginning. I was like, it was funny. I think recently, I'll just tell you this, Ron, real quick. I got a friend who's traveling. He's been on my show. He's from Vancouver. He's a tile guy, super nice guy, knows his shit. He does a lot of high-end stuff, huge slabs, things like that. And all of a sudden, he just on a whim, he goes, listen, I'm going to Portugal. I need a break. My dad's building a garage there. I'm going to go there, working vacation. He sends me this clip of him on top of the roof building. And I'm like, and I'm jealous. You're on vacation. I'm jealous. I mean, but then in back of my head, I'm thinking, I'd be doing the exact same thing. I'd be on vacation. I'd be there and I'd be swinging a hammer. Why? Because we love it. We actually love it. We love smelling like sawdust. We love getting dirty. We love cleaning up. We love showing people what we built, why we built it, how we built it. We love all that stuff. So I look at all those positive. Like, I'm not saying that there's no negatives. I'm not saying that there's no problems. This is construction. If there isn't negatives and there isn't problems, then you're not in construction. What are you in? And I don't know. You're in an office job at that time. No, you got to handle the problems. You got to see them. You got to go, okay, sure, this is the shit. Fine. How do I get out of the shit? That's as simple as that, man. So you got to keep on finding love. And I tell guys all the time, you'll lose the love, but you got to find it again. Simple. It's really, really simple. So not every day is perfect. You'll get a few days that are absolutely perfect, but cherish those days that are bad and you think they're worse and you can't get better, because guess what? Somebody is teaching you something. And you're going to learn. You're going to pick up the carpenter's pencil and you're going to learn, and you're going to pick up some new skills, new tools, new everything, and you're going to build. Simple as that, man.
That's one of the things I love about you, is still looking at the possibilities and still looking to learn every day. Because in what we do, that it's just what happens is you continue to learn and you're excited about what we're doing. It's one of the reasons I'm excited about this conversation. So I'm going to get to the $1 million question. And that is, what makes a construction champion?
What makes a construction champion? You know what? I think that goal is always moving. I honestly think, and if it's not moving, then you're not giving your 1000%. Because if you accomplish something, you set out a goal, you take on a job, you haven't done it really before, you're still learning, you hire the right people to work with you to help you learn and do it, and you achieve it. But if you achieve it over and over and you're not testing yourself, you're not pushing yourself, you're not moving that goal, you're not learning anymore. And what's the point of being in construction? And if you're just going to constantly do the exact same thing over and over, you don't want to do that. That's not why we're in this business. We're in this business because we want to move that goal and we want to be tested. We want to be challenged. We want to constantly be moving forward. So to me, to be a champion is really someone who's part of the team, who gets us to a certain point and then moves us even further, get us to a new point and the next point, and then the next problem, the next hurdle, the next achievement. That's a champion. And I think that you your crew, the new guy, the old guy, the supplier, everybody that's helping out, the admin staff, everybody, they're all champions. They're all contributing to all of us being a champion. I think that definitely when you get to that goal and you achieve it, you're not the only one standing there. Everybody around you is standing there. So they're all embracing in that accomplishment. So they are champions. So I think that your team, your business, and at the bottom end, I would say maybe your clients are champions as well, because they took the risk in hiring you. They believed what you were selling. They believed who you are as a person. They trusted in you. And so you got to look at them as champions as well. Everybody that's associated, there's no one in construction. I have yet to meet anybody in construction that can do everything. That's impossible. And even Noah still needed the animals, right? So he wasn't by himself, all right? And he had the voice. So it's like, listen, you can't be a lone wolf. You can't be the single person. You know, you need the team, and you need to embrace that team and understand that they're as much a champion as you are. And you have to feed them. They have to feed you. And that's how this all works. So I honestly believe that that's being a champion is an ever constant moving target. And you should always be paying attention to that and understanding that I was great today. I could be better tomorrow. I was terrible today. I could be amazing tomorrow. You got to always look at that. That's a champion. That's someone that's like, sure, we've gone down. We're going back up. We're going up. We're going to keep going up. That's a champion. Everybody's a champion that way. But I mean, everybody stands on your shoulders and you stand on their shoulders. I'm not good unless my plumber's pulling things off. I'm not good unless my trim guy's pulling things off. I'm not good unless the suppliers bring everything on time and I've got everything scheduled. So it's like we're all champions at that point. I think the whole collective of construction workers that are working together on a project, they are the epitome of champion. That's how I look at it, Ron.
I love
It
it
might be
because
easy.
when a championship is won in any sport, everybody gets the ranks from the front office to the back office to the players, because without all them moving pieces, that championship doesn't happen.
It's true. It's very, very true.
And one thing that I love that you brought up there is the ever evolving goal, and
Yeah.
how true champions are always, you're able to look down the road. You understand the herders right now, but you're also preparing for the herders in the future.
Yeah.
Because as your team grows, as the projects get bigger, you have to prepare them for it.
Some of the best things I've done, Ron, was sit back and reflect on my earlier days or earlier projects and try to visualize myself who I was at that time, right? Almost like I was like a fly on the wall and I'm seeing my younger self, my earlier, less experienced self on a job site and trying to get a grasp of who that person was. Because me today, I'm not that person. But without that person from the past, I'm not today. You know, it's as simple as that. So it's like you look at the things that you pulled off in the beginning of your career, and to you at the time, they were extremely difficult. To you today, they're like, that was a piece of cake. So it makes you think today, what's really difficult? Because I know 10 years from now, I'm going to look back and go, that was a piece of cake. So why was I fretting? Why was I upset? Why was I nervous? I shouldn't have been. I could have easily just gotten everything lined up perfectly, reduced the amount of stress and pulled it off. And that's what I think sometimes a lot of us forget. We forget what we've accomplished and don't factor in that we actually pulled that off. And a lot of guys, I see this sometimes in their eyes, right? When they build their first house. When you're starting it, it's just pure stress. Most likely you're not even going to make money. Most likely you're going to lose money. Most likely you're going to just like, what am I in this business? Why am I doing this? I shouldn't be doing this, all this other stuff. But then you pull off the house and you look back and you're like, actually, I love that. That was amazing. I'm ready to do the next one. But you just finished telling me that you were like, I have no business being in this business. I shouldn't be doing that. That's how we challenge ourselves. So I really encourage any of the tradespeople that have gotten so far, learned so much, built so much regarding physically and mentally, don't ever forget where you came from. Understand those roots because they ground you. You totally understand. And so that's why you will respect anybody that's new coming into the industry. They're going through the exact same things. So when someone's trying to figure out a problem and you see it, you kind of just relax them, you calm them down, and you go, listen, you will figure it out. It will come to you one day. You will piece it together and you'll figure it out. And 5 years down the line, you'll look back on this moment and you'll be like, I don't understand why I was just freaking out about this. Like it was really simple now that I look at it. It's difficult when it's happening. Piece of cake later on. Always piece of cake later on.
I think you said some really powerful things there for not just guys that have been around for a while, but for guys that are just starting
Yeah.
in the possibilities to be able to, do some journaling, understand where you're at, what you're going through. So when you go back and reflect, I think I'm huge on doing reflection of, because that's how we got to where we're on now. And like you said, we can take on bigger things because of where we've been. And we have to be willing to embrace that and also embrace what was a shit show about what that was. Because the only way to learn from it is to understand why it happened, how it happened, and what I need to do different on the next project.
What I'm excited about these days, Ron, is the future of construction on where it's going to go. I think we've gotten to a certain point where so many things have become just standardized. Like, okay, you walk in, you swing the hammer this way, you walk in, you build the wall that way. And I think that right now there's a huge amount of opportunity where the future is coming, knocking hard on the door, and we should be embracing on how new building techniques are going to be dropped in our lap. And if we don't look at it the same way that we looked at those new ideas when we were getting started in our career, we're going to miss so much opportunity. We're going to miss so much adrenaline. It's going to be attached to us figuring out those problems of tomorrow. And I think that's really critical. So if anything, all of us should be doing homework, trying to figure out, hey, where is the future of construction? We know that construction evolves slowly, but I have a funny feeling that construction is going to have this massive ramp real soon. And all of a sudden, you're going to be given opportunity with new ideas, new materials, new techniques. And you're going to be like, I'm going to try that. I want to achieve that. I want to pull that off. And if you're not doing it, someone else is going to do it. But it doesn't mean that there's not going to be enough work for everybody else. We know the number one problem in all of everywhere, you guys down south and up here in Canada, in Europe, everywhere, is homes. We need people to build homes, and we need good people to build homes. We don't need bad people to build homes. So if you're part of the good people, you're part of that collective trying to figure out the best ways to do certain things, you're going to be a champion. You're going to be a rock star. You're going to get to the top level. You're going to be asked about. People are going to reach out to you because they're going to think you figured it out. And you'll be saying, yeah, I figured out some of those things, but I still need to figure out other things. And then they may come up with other ideas and contribute to your ideas. And I'm like, that's construction. I go back to no one person is pulling off construction. We need our brothers and sisters next to us helping us. So that goes for the mental side of things. When we're trying to do research, we're trying to help each other out. We're trying to figure out problems on paper first before we actually do it on the job site. So start reaching out to people, start figuring out who is actually making some futuristic waves in construction, and then just have a conversation. Send them a DM, send them a text, send them an email if you can, get their contact information, whatever, and just go, listen, I'd love to pick your brain. That happened to me, Ron, all the time. 8-9 years ago, when I was doing social and I was just bombarding social and I was getting all my ideas out and I was shooting stuff, guys were reaching out going, listen, Manny, I know, first of all, because I was really blatant about loving espressos, loving cigars, and loving booze, right? So like, listen, I'll buy you a coffee. We'll sit down, we'll get an espresso. Love to just pick your brain for 5 minutes. And I'm like, sure, no problem. Where you want to meet up? Hour or two later on, we're still sitting there, we're just talking. Why? Because we want to work together. We want to contribute. We want to help each other out. And I'm like, I want to see more of that. I want to see more of that today because I think that there's so much opportunity to do that. That's why I'm sure that's why you do your show. That's why I do my show. It's just like the nuggets, the ideas, the communication, the conversations that come out of actually sparking a question, a moment, something that was taught, something that's learned. I'm working on a project right now that I'm working with somebody else on, and we've been back and forth just sending, here's a text, and one was like, did you know that this happened? And I'm like, I didn't know that. And then I look into that, and then I start finding out, and then I send him a text, and I'm like, did you know that this happened? And I'm like, we're just changing ideas. We're just expanding. We didn't even know about something that has already been built for 50 years, and we didn't even know specific details about it. But these details now are relevant to today, and we're taking those ideas from 50 years ago, and we're applying them to something that's happening today. And I'm like, this would never have happened if one of us didn't say, this is what I'm thinking about. That's just the truth of it. And then the moment you start sharing those thoughts outside of your head, other people will listen, and then they'll start asking you questions about it. And then you'll start coming up with better solutions. And then you'll move the construction industry forward. That makes you a champion. Simple.
You're giving me chills, man. Because I truly, like, one of the reasons I do this, and one of the main reasons, is because I truly believe that collaboration is what will bring the construction industry forward. We got to stop being afraid of sharing what we're doing and thinking that this is all top secret information. And we need to start sharing it with each other. And that's how we will evolve the industry. And that's what you're speaking to, is you're doing that currently right now, because there's a lot of power in that.
It can't be. It can't be anything other than that, Ron. Like, if you honestly believe that you got the best trick in your tool belt, you're full of crap. I'm sorry, you don't. You have a nice idea, it's great, but I guarantee you some kid or some old guy is going to come along and show you a better way to do it. And you're going to be like, wait a minute, I thought I was the only one. No way. If you're a tradesperson, you're in construction, you ain't the only one. There's lots of people that have lots of great ideas, lots of people that are going to contribute to your ideas, and vice versa. You're going to do the exact same thing. That's what I love about construction. That's what drives me, moves me forward. That's why I love having conversations on the site, off the site, in suppliers. I love just being loud at supplier places where I'm like, I've got a problem in my head and I'll just be loud and share it, because I know some tradesperson in that shop is going to perk their ears up and they're going to come up to me and they're going like, listen, just try this. And I'm like, I never thought about it that way. And that would never have happened if I didn't just speak up and just say something out loud. That's construction. That's what I think that guys should not be afraid to just, I guess for lack of a better word, ask a stupid question, because there aren't stupid questions in construction. There's only like missed opportunities of figuring out solutions. That's key. And if we miss those opportunities, guess what? Maybe your competition will figure it out, or maybe you'll miss an opportunity on a job site that you really want to impress somebody with, that, and also learn something and take it to the next job site. Like, I love learning things on one job site. But you know this, Ron, once you finish that job and the client's happy, crew's happy, everybody's happy, you walk away from it and you're like, in the back of your head, you're thinking, I really could have did this. I could have pulled that off, but I didn't think about it until very now, right? Until I actually finished it. So then what you do is you take that idea, you save it, and you use it for the next idea, the next job, and you pull it off then. So you gotta be patient, I guess, at that time. But I mean, give as much as you can while you're working on that job, do your best job possible, prove everything that you said you're going to prove when you sold it as a salesperson to the clients, and then as a tradesperson to the guys on the crew. Then do all that work, get that done, and then take the next job and start figuring out how you tackle that. That's why I love saying that every single job is custom. You walk in, it's not off the shelf. It's not like you went down an aisle and you packed this rental and you put it into here. Every single job is custom. So you have to approach it mentally and physically like it's a custom job. You are building the first mock-up, the first prototype, the first everything. So how do you tackle that? You know how you did it in the beginning, do it today, and then handle it for tomorrow as well, man.
Well, one of the great things about what you're talking about is when you're talking about everything's custom, but then how do you lower that or pick up the learning curve so you get better quicker? It's exactly what you said. It's that reflection, understanding this is what I could have done better, and then talking to other people that do it. That's how you get that learning curve to where you get exponentially better quicker. And then the projects are easier. Actually, they never get easier, as we know, they get harder because you take on bigger projects. And that's what you want to do. And the only way to evolve into that is to be willing to learn from yourself and then learn from those around you.
I remember one of my earlier jobs where I had this crazy idea of just taking all this reclaimed wood and this is way before barn door land came in, right? And I said I could actually make a custom looking barn door that looks really old and rustic and everything like that, but it was all done modern. But then I also wanted to build it a certain way where I wasn't going to see any fasteners. I was really going to focus on mortise and tenon and gluing it and putting it all together. And sure enough, it was a double door setup. So I was like, okay, great. So I built the first door and I'm working on it, scratching my head, working with other people on it and stuff like that. It took like 5-6 hours to do the first one. And then I finished the first door and I'm happy. Everything's content. I'm like, I pulled it off. Then obviously I'm thinking, okay, I underpriced this because it took me so long. Then I'm like thinking, I got to build a second door now. And my first thought is, I got another 5, 6 hours to pull this next door. You know how long the second door took? An hour and a half. Because I already knew what I pulled off with the first door. I already knew the tricks that were attached to that one. And then when I pulled off the second one, I did it in a fraction of the time. And I was like, that's construction right there. So now I take those skills that I pulled that off. And it was funny. People saw the doors and they were all reaching out to me. And they're like, how did you do that? Did you make a video? Did you like do a drawings? Did you do that? I go, no, it's all in here, unfortunately, right? They go, well, can you show me? And I was like, okay, I'll show you. And I walked him through and I showed him the door and then he started seeing the details and he's like, okay, so now you're seeing how I got to that. And he goes, yeah, I totally understand it now. I go, now you go run with it. Maybe it takes him 3, 4 hours to do the first one because he had a little head start with the ideas that I gave him. But the second one will probably take him an hour to do it. So that's what I love about it. And that's every little detail in construction, it's applicable to it. 100% it's applicable to it. And that's how you got to look at it. You're still going to have those crappy days. You're still going to have those hard days, cold, wet days, all that stuff. You're going to have that. But don't ever forget the wins, man. Don't ever forget, doesn't matter how small. Don't ever forget the little wins, man, because they moved you forward. They moved you closer to what you really want to accomplish. And I think I'm older. I'm in my early 50s now, right? It's funny. I can actually say I'm in my early 50s now. It's just ridiculous, right? But I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm already thinking about what interesting things that I want to build that are going to touch me. I'm looking at things that I want to be emotionally moved now. I want to build things that want to just creatively just put me in a different mindset. That's what I want to do. I want to still educate other people. I want other people to reach out and ask me questions about traditional and doing the construction that I have done for the last 15 years. But in me personally, I want to look at stuff that's going to be, first of all, last a long time, and then really hit me regarding an emotional connection to it. That's what I really want to build. I want to get those stories, those understandings of like when I'm an older, much older man and friends and family are like, yeah, that old guy there's the one that pulled that off. You know, he did it so many years ago and it's still standing, it's still around. It's all that kind. I want that kind of emotional connectivity. That's what that's me personally. That's how I'm looking at things right now. I mean, I still love cutting wood and being on a job site and listen, framing a wall and framing just a standard wall, 16 on center. Still, I get excited about it. It's amazing. It's great. But I want to take that wall to a different level now. I want to figure out new ideas with that wall. I want to put little niches in it. I want to put little crevices. I want to just try new ideas and see where it goes from there. So that's where I'm focused right now. And I think that moves me forward. That makes me more of a champion. That makes me more of a leader. People are telling me that. So I'm just repeating it. So I'm like, okay, cool. If that's me, that's what you guys think, then great. I love it. It's wonderful. But I just do it because the passion in you is driving you to do it. Right. So I'm like, okay, it's not necessarily me. Something in me is moving me towards that. That's how I look at it.
Well, we know you're definitely a champion. But what I like, what you're talking about is the evolution of champions, where you see, like, look at the greats like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady. These guys moved into legacy territory, which is what you're talking about, where you want to establish not just that foundation of championships, you want to build a legacy upon that that can be looked back on and say, yes, I did that right there, but I didn't do it alone.
Yeah. It's amazing you bring that up because I remember my first year in construction, so many people were driving such a basic van, pickup truck, whatever it was, with a slapped on sticker on the side, and that was their business. And whenever I spoke with them, they always had this mindset of like, I'm just a plumber, like I'm just an electrician. And I would look at them and I'm like, listen, you're never, and you never will be, in my eyes, just a tradesperson. You're not. There's so much, and I joked about, at the time I was joking about, I go, your brand, your little mom and pop shop brand, it's really up to you, but it can be as big as any of these huge corporations that you see all over the place. It's really up to you though. You're right now dictating that it stays at this level, but you can do certain things that will make it move to heights that you've never even imagined. So don't ever tell me that you're just a tradesperson, because that's not the truth. That's a lie. And that's a lie that you got to stop telling yourself. You do certain things that many others don't know how to do, and you do it really well, and you have passion for it, but you're too hard on yourself. And you should really be giving yourself a lot more credit where you're a rock star of plumbing. You're a rock star of trim carpentry. You're at that level. And I would just tell him that. I go, listen, I've seen crap. I understand that, but crap is just because you're young and you're not exactly sure what to do, and maybe you haven't met the right mentor, and you haven't been taught right. We all know this. Like this, if you get down the wrong path and certain people speak to you, they will teach you a certain way. But if certain other people teach you, they will take you to a different way. So that's all it is. It's like never look at just. Construction is never just anything. Like people live in homes. People unfortunately, like they die in homes, but they build families in homes. They have these moments in their families. Kids graduate, people get married. Like there's so many things that happen in your home. Don't ever forget these four walls that's surrounding this family. It's like a huge hug, man. Like these homes, there's a reason why everyone's always contributed homes to like your actual body, like the heart and your limbs and the skin and all this other stuff. Your home is like you. That's as simple as that. So it's just like, don't ever look at it like it's just a job. I'm just punching the clock. I'm just coming in and I'm swinging a hammer. No way, man. You're never just doing that. There's so much more behind that. You're just not seeing it yet. And until you see it, you won't realize it. And then you won't be driven to go after it. So see it, find it, make sure it's crystal clear, and then move forward.
I think that was a mic drop moment for the entire industry right there, man. That was fantastic.
I get this, Ron, from all the time. Like I'm talking to so many people. It's like that's why I love this show. And I'm sure you love doing it for that reason too. It's like just when you get passionate about construction, you're just motivated to move forward and try new ideas. And I'm like, I'm healthy, I'm in great shape, and I'm good. I'm actually getting in better shape as I get older, which is great. And I have conversations with other friends of mine that are in their early 50s, and we're talking about getting in better shape. And we're like, yeah, you know what? We got some aches and pains, but to be all fair, you got the 20 guys probably complaining about their aches and pains more than I do. And I'm like, listen, it's not that I'm quiet, I just don't have them. So start figuring out how to stay really physically active and healthy, so then you can actually, guess what? There's a reason why we admire those old guys swinging those hammers and building things in their barns or in their garages or in their basements. Like you're thinking it's difficult, but they're loving it. They might have a little bit of ache and pain here and there, but their mindset and their passion and their heart is moving them forward. So they love doing it. So I'm looking forward to being that 60, 70, 80, 90. I joke, I'll be 100 years old and last thing I'll do is swing a hammer. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. So it's like, don't ever just shut it all down and end it. You can't. We don't retire. We may retire from building for clients, but we'll never retire from building for our family and our loved ones. That'll never happen, right? And then I also tell guys one last thing is that don't forget to build for yourself. Like include yourself in that mix, right? Like we're always focused on giving to our family, giving to our loved ones, giving to our friends, giving up weekends, giving up holidays, giving up everything. Don't ever forget to include yourself in that mix. Just tell yourself, you wake up and something's itching at you in your throat. You're like, you know what I really want to build for me? And just answer that question. Simple as that. And then make that build. Make it happen.
I love it, man. Great stuff. It's been great having you on today.
Thanks, man. It's been great being here.
If anybody wanted to come find, not if, they do.
You find me all over the place. I mean, I think if you just type in the construction life, you'll find me. Like social media, it's TCL _ the construction life. I think because Twitter's funny, I think it's TCL construction. I couldn't fit the whole thing at that point. I call it TCL now, right? It's because it's easier than saying the construction life, but I call it TCL. So you find me there. Social media wise, you'll find me, podcast wise, you'll find me on all the channels. I did get a notification today, Ron. I don't know if you got it, but Stitcher is shutting down. So one podcast platform is completely shutting down. So I'm no longer going to be on Stitcher, but I'm on 11 other channels. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Rumble. Everything's under the construction life. So you'll find it there. And I literally dropped an episode yesterday. I dropped another episode this morning. I'm dropping an episode on Saturday morning. There's no shortage. I'm not doing one a week. I'm doing 2, sometimes 3 a week. I'm getting out 10, maybe 11 shows per month. So like we've got a lot of shows right now. We crossed the 400 mark. We recorded all the way up to 400, and I only just dropped 378 right now. So I mean, I've got shows that people are waiting for, and I'm anticipating getting them out there because I remember the conversation. I remember like some really cool things that were said, and I want to share these out there because I know that they will resonate. So it's like the guys and the girls in the industry, they're listening. So you'll find me, just the construction life, you'll see it. And then by all means, if you find me, DM me. Like I did the one thing where I've got my number and I've got my email and all the show notes. So if you want to DM me, but please start by saying my name and where you found me, because I've been getting a lot of shady texts and I'm not answering any of those, right? So just, you got to acknowledge who I am and where you found me, and then I'll definitely reply back to you. But I love the power of communicating. And I love that all the young and old and the current tradespeople out there have access now to this, because back in the day when I got started, it wasn't available. And definitely 20, 40 years ago, it was not available. You had to literally drive around, walk around, be on a job site to ask that question. Nowadays, you just got to find somebody digitally and just send them a DM, send them a text, reach out, or get lucky enough and people bumped into me. They've seen me in cafes, restaurants, and they came up and reluctantly they said, listen, I don't want to disturb you, but I just want to say hello. And I'm like, dude, you're not disturbing me, man. So it's like, yeah, just reach out. You got any questions? Trust me, I don't have all the answers. I do not, and I will not ever have all the answers. So I'll be asking questions too. But if you want to ask me a question about something that you think I know, I will definitely answer it if I do know. And if I don't, guess what? I'll put you in touch with somebody who has the answer. That's the beauty of this whole digital landscape. It's just you meet so many people that will answer every single question that you can come up with. That's a fact. That's construction.
That absolutely is, man. And thank you for taking the time to be on the show. You dropped a lot of fire today.
Thanks, man. Great being here. Thanks so much, Ron, for asking me, man.
So, all right, construction champions, that's another episode right there. And if you don't listen to the Construction Life podcast, I highly, highly recommend it. It's unbelievable what Manny has been able to do over the years and build in the knowledge and the guests that he has had on there. Watching the evolution of that show is truly remarkable. And it's just like what Manny talked about here today, is that evolution of your career as you continue to grow. Working on what does that championship look like on every house or every build or every project you do. Don't be afraid to learn from your mistakes, and don't be afraid to reach up and ask how not to make a mistake. In the construction industry, as we move forward, collaboration is going to be the thing that sets us free as an industry. I'm 100% bought in on this. This is the mission. This is the vision, is let's come together as an industry. And like I said at the beginning, let's stop having closed door conversations. Let's swing these doors open and talk one-on-one, talk face-to-face. So one of the reasons we have the Construction Champions Mastermind group now on Facebook is to connect guests and listeners. So make sure you go check that out. It's where we can have these conversations. We can get connections that fail to happen when you have a podcast and people don't reach out. I want to get everybody in one place. And then make sure you go check out constructionchampionspodcast.com. Look at our partners and sponsors on there. They're the ones that are helping keep this show going. So every week we can bring on amazing guests and do amazing things. So Construction Champions, until next time, be the champion you were meant to be.